All right, guys, Paul Linn here again with Lethal Arm Assassins Network. First off, thanks for tuning in. Just wanted to take a moment and kind of talk about a hot topic that's going on right now in the arm wrestling community, and something that has been brought up to me several times in DMs. My buddy Pradeep Singh and Arm Wrestling Noobs. If you haven't checked him out on YouTube, check out Arm Wrestling Noobs on YouTube. He was the one that kind of sparked the idea for doing a video about this topic. He had a couple questions for me that I'm going to kind of address in this video. So really this discussion is going to be about the RVJ and Ryan Bowen match that looks like it's on the horizon. So first off, Pradeep kind of asked, what was my take on this situation, on this match, and why I'm not putting out more content. So first off, the content thing, I mean, honestly, guys, I got so much going on in my life. It's very tricky for me to really map out structured content. I am doing my best to up my content, and this in itself is an attempt to do so. So hopefully I'll get some more content coming out. The match itself, Rob and Ryan Bowen, I know if you're in the arm wrestling community, you've been following this. There's talks of a $50,000 payout. The idea of doing it without the quote-unquote sanction need for a league to promote it. The match itself, I'm in favor of as a whole, because it does prove to the arm wrestling community and the arm wrestlers that we don't necessarily need a league to promote our matches. We can in fact do it ourselves. We can in fact raise money ourselves. We can in fact be autonomous, even during a time like this with the coronavirus, where we have limited access to actual competition. We can create our own. I think that's a huge upside for the sport and moving forward. So I like the idea of what Rob and Ryan are doing. That said, me personally, as far as my arm wrestling journey itself, I'm not necessarily individually interested in the self-promotion of matches, for me specifically. I like the idea of a league that is willing to just pay me to be an athlete or allow me to be an athlete and promote my match for me so that I don't have to do that. For me, that's a comfort zone thing, where I don't really want to step outside of my comfort zone, take on a new persona or take a different attitude towards a match, just solely for the purpose of promoting it and generating hype. So I've had, some things on Facebook here and there where I've talked to folks who've been trying to promote matches almost for me and get me involved in the quote-unquote hype on social media, where I pretty much turned that down because that's not something that I personally am interested in. I'm more interested in the substance of being a good arm wrestler. The content that I put out, and I hope I'm going to continue to put out, is going to be more geared towards, like it has been, in either an educational capacity, training type videos that would be geared towards helping new arm wrestlers, or just geared towards current topics in the sport. I don't want to dig too much into that self-promotional stuff just for personal reasons. So Pradeep brought up like another point along with this, as far as Ryan Bowen now getting a shot at Rob, who is the WAL hammer holder. He asked, does that make me upset? Does that make me jealous, or whatever the case may be? I could see why someone would think that. But I can say with all honesty that there is zero jealousy or animosity for Ryan getting this match before, say, myself or any other person like Jordan Sill, Storm Chelino, Craig Touye, who might be higher up on the pecking order as far as the hierarchy for who might deserve a shot. So I guess then you would ask, well, why is my stance that way? Why do I not feel upset, slighted, or jealous? There's several reasons that I don't. Number one, the match is not being held for a WAL hammer, which to me is something that I value more than $50,000. And that might sound ridiculous, but I've been blessed enough in life. I have several sources of income, several jobs, investments, and things of that nature where I'm very, very busy. This is also why I can't put out as much content as I would like. But I have, I make my money outside of arm wrestling. And Any money made in arm wrestling is just a bonus, and I've really even kind of pledged to myself that any money I make through arm wrestling, I'm going to funnel back into the sport in some way, shape, or form. So for me, the money's not an issue. Really, my personal goals and hierarchy of values puts that WAL hammer as of more value than a dollar amount or a lump sum of money. So that to me is more of my drive. So the fact that match is going to happen and it stands an opportunity for either Ryan or Rob to make a lump sum of money, my hat's off to them. I think that's awesome. I hope I hope that works out for them immensely. And I do think that it is for Ryan a win-win situation. Herman kind of talked about that. Like, it's a scenario where all of the hype and the build-up for someone like Ryan, and even now Rob with his social media booming, they have the opportunity to monetize the hype videos, where before they even actually have the match, they could have potentially made a substantial amount of money, depending on how that social media income flows, as well as potential sponsorships and things of that nature. So it is in fact a win-win situation, and Herman kind of talked about that. Almost the idea of it being a win-win situation, almost tarnishing the competition aspect. I don't necessarily believe that wholeheartedly, but I do see that perspective as well. So no, my answer to that is I'm absolutely not upset, primarily because of where my values kind of lie. I would love to have that match, and I do believe that karma or whatever you believe in, or the good Lord, he takes care of these types of things. I do believe that my opportunity will come at some point, and I'm not the type of person who's overly in a huge hurry as far as like, hey, I want my shot and I want it now, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to call out whoever it is and make as much noise as I possibly can to get that match. I would rather get that match because the folks who are actually tracking the hierarchy and the pecking order, I believe that they have not changed stances as far as where we all fit in that pecking order. I think right now, because there's no opportunity for these matches to take place, it allows for an opportunity for Ryan and Rob to organize this match outside of the leagues. For me, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it at all. I think it's great. And I think that the WAL, once they come back online, those opportunities for those matches, for those of us who are in that pecking order, are going to happen. So it's easy to then say, well, what if Ryan is to somehow beat RVJ? How does that play into the WAL then? And how does that play into, let's say I were to get a match with Rob after he potentially maybe lost to Ryan Bowen? Would that change my perspective? No. The answer is no. So to me, when I look at this match, it's not being sanctioned under a league, and it's very similar to that Michael Todd and Levon Sanglishvili match. If it's not held under PAL or WAL and it's done in a garage somewhere with whatever rules, it doesn't make the match any less valid, but in a way, it also doesn't validate the match itself. So I'm not taking anything away from the match, but for me, a WAL match is the way to go, and that would be the one that I would hold in most regards, had it been sanctioned by the WAL itself. So I don't think the match, I think it's awesome, it's great for talking points, but I think in order for it to be 100% legitimate, it should happen for a hammer with everything on the line. The money's just a bonus. I mean, I guess it depends on what the pullers' value systems are, as far as, how much effort they put into it. But I have a feeling that this is exactly what Rob wants, and that he is on a mission to prove a point. So, and that brings me to the next point. How do I feel about the match, and how would I handicap the match? Which is other questions that I've got. So I'm a realist. I have pulled Ryan, and I practiced only for a little bit with Rob, very, very little, nothing recent. But if I had to look at this objectively and handicap the match, Rob is the heavy, heavy favorite. And he's heavy, heavy favorite for physical attributes, but also because I believe, as I believe Devin does, that Rob is on a mission to prove a point right now. And with the testing, the PED testing, I think that is another mission that he is on. I don't think that Ryan's technical prowess is quite enough to overcome Rob, but I can't rule it out. I think that there is a possibility that Ryan could potentially figure some things out and find a lane. But something tells me that with the amount of money and the amount of attention around this match, that Rob Vigent Jr. is going to come in very, very prepared, which really, in my mind, puts him as the heavy favorite. And then you also take into account that Ryan, quote unquote, is in a no-lose situation, meaning he's going to make money, he's going to grow clout, he's going to do these different things regardless of beating Rob or not. It almost goes back to what Ryan has said in the past, that, you know, he has permission to lose the match, which can be looked at as a good thing or a bad thing. I don't see Ryan as the type of guy who would ever take anything lightly or come in with any intentions other than to win a match. But I do think that, honestly, the pressure is on Rob, and I think that the pressure will probably bring the best out of Rob. So I do think Rob's the heavy favorite, and that's also another reason why I don't worry a whole lot about okay, how does that affect, you know, the Storm Cholinos, Justin Bishops, Jordan Sills, and myself, who are waiting our turn for our shot. I don't think that we stand a huge possibility for Rob's image to be tainted through this. So I'm all for the match. And you know, I'm in support of those guys having the opportunity to kind of get some money during this time, and also for the arm wrestling community to have something like this to talk about and have something to hype up. So I guess the last thing that was really brought up to me from Pradeep and a couple other people is what I kind of touched on in the beginning is, why don't I personally try and control my own narrative a little bit more through my YouTube platform or social media platform. And like I said, I touched on it a little bit earlier, and really it just comes down to, I don't want to say morals, but my value system as far as what I value in this sport, what I want to get out of this sport, what I want to give back to this sport. So I've been blessed enough to have a decent platform, and my YouTube's grown and everything, and for me, I kind of want to keep my motivations as pure as possible, for my own conscience sake. I don't see myself as the type of person who wants to go down the route of self-promotion to the point where I'm affecting the outcome, my own outcomes, to get myself ahead through my social media platform or my social media pool. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. I'm passing no judgment by any means. I just personally don't feel comfortable doing it. There's some things, I mean, I guess if I needed to, you know, for the sake of moving the sport forward or moving myself forward, I guess I could kind of bring myself to do it if I needed to. But if given a choice, I really don't want to use my platform for 100% self-gain. You know, if there's a way where we can move the sport forward, we can help new pullers, and, you know, my channel grows, or my platform grows, or I wind up doing better in the sport, if it's mutually beneficial, I can rationalize that in my head. But if all the content that I'm doing is really with the intent to project myself forward or to serve my own cause, I'll have a hard time kind of, you know, sleeping at night with the stuff. So for me, I'm not at a point where I'm trying to make a whole bunch of money from YouTube. I don't see myself ever recouping my initial investment on hardware, and there's no way that I'm going to recoup my investment on time. So really what I'm doing this for is really just kind of out of the love of the sport, just for something fun to do, a hobby, and also to try and help those new pullers or anybody who might be interested in current content in arm wrestling as a whole. So guys, that's pretty much what I got. I'm done rambling. I just figured I'd kind of touch on these hot topics. I think we're all looking and waiting and anticipating what's going to really transpire with this match. I mean, I think it's great. It's great for the community. It's great for us to be able to have something to focus on. I think it gives us something to talk about. So it's awesome. All things considered, this is a good thing for the sport. It's not anything bad for any of us individually, and there's no real reason not to support it. So thanks, guys, for listening to the babbling. I just figured I'd get it out there while it's a hot topic. Just give you guys some more of my internal perspective. Thanks again for tuning in. We appreciate all you guys subscribing, hitting like, and share. This is what's kind of growing the channel, and hopefully I'll be able to bring more content like this to you as the time rolls forward. Thanks again.